Right, hello again. So the second film on this series, this map you might think looks exactly the same as the last one, but if you look closely, you'll see a little blue line to the left, and that, of course, is, if we zoom in, the tram system that's been extended. So you've still got my figure of eight tram system on there, and I mean, this should have been done originally when the tram was built. It shouldn't have stopped at Mailing Bridge. It should have gone all the way up to Stannington. Um, and again, potentially as far out as here, or maybe even coming into this area here, because it may come at some point, again, just like I pointed out, that area of green belt between Parson Cross and the kind of outer area of Grenoside, that may at some point come into pressure to be built on. I've got a funny feeling that this area here, I mean, this is kind of a deep drop. This is kind of the Rivelin, a kind of Rivelin edge here. But these fields here, there may be pressure to build here, and this will be incredibly controversial because we're getting very close to the Peak District. We are, looking at some serious greenbelt land here, an area of quite outstanding natural beauty, lots of historic mill dams in the Rivelin Valley there. This would be incredibly controversial, but if the tram were to run right along here, right into the middle of what would be quite a huge housing estate, controversially, this might be more sustainable, especially if you build the most sustainable housing estate that you could possibly do. So it wouldn't be high density. There will be lots of green, lots of trees planted as a green belt. Maybe only 50 to 60% of this land could be built on. Everything else would have to be trees or meadows or gardens or whatever, and it would have to be built in a really environmentally friendly way for me to even begin to support it. But I could see a scenario where that could possibly happen. So as I say, so therefore to actually run the tram somewhere along here into the middle of this area, or just along the top of the road here, might be a sustainable option. It might persuade a lot of people out of their cars that are presently choking Mailing Bridge and Hillsborough Corner. Certainly, if there are hundreds more houses here, that's that would add to the problem without there being a major public transport link put in there. So enough of that controversy now, because I'm probably going to have people seeing red if they're watching this and they live in Stannington. But yeah, my proposal would be to extend the tram from Mailing Bridge to Stannington. But instead of the Mailing Bridge tram going all the way to halfway, I think it would be a lot better to have the Mailing Bridge tram simply follow, once it gets to Hillsborough, follow the tram all the way to Meadowhall. So you have a Stannington to Meadowhall line. And it finishes, it stops there at Meadowhall. I think that would be better than a Stannington to halfway tram, which is what you have at the moment. And so you might think, well, okay, So if you've got a tram going from Stannington to Meadowhall, where's the halfway tram going to go to? Well, the halfway tram will go to what is presently at Merlin Bridge. I'll just bring that out. Sorry, not Merlin Bridge, Middlewood. So the Middlewood tram at the moment goes to Meadowhall, but I would change that round and I would have the Middlewood tram going to halfway. The northwest of the city connected directly to the southeast of the city. The extreme west of the city connected directly to the extreme east of the city. Those seem to be more rational, logical tram routes as far as I'm concerned. But of course, if I just bring the map legend on, it wouldn't be from Middlewood, because now we've got a yellow line here. So let me just get rid of that map legend. I am so crap at computer stuff, but I've been quite enjoying this. Collapse map legend. So we now have a yellow line. Well, this yellow line, instead of starting at Middlewood, goes all the way out to Stocksbridge. And again, I'm actually in two minds as to whether to, because there's been talk of for a long time now about reopening the old Victoria line between Victoria Station near the Wicker and Stocksbridge, to open up a fast, and then obviously have trains over to Manchester, but a stop at Stocksbridge will be a fast route into Sheffield city centre. Stocksbridge, maybe Uterbridge, and then Sheffield city centre, or maybe Wadsley Bridge as well, possibly. But you're talking about 10 minutes max, really. However, what I still think is better, I think the closer your tram system is, your public transport is to actually where people live, so they have the minimal distance to walk when you are getting up on at 6 o'clock in the morning on a wet, windy, cold, miserable, dark winter's day. You don't want a 10-15 minute walk to a local railway station. Ideally, you want a 2 or 3 minute walk to your local tram stop, which is in your local area, which virtually goes past your house. So again, even though it will be more expensive to do this, just putting down decent train lines, or just to open up the train lines on that Stocksbridge Victoria line, will be a very cheap thing to do. It's no good doing it cheaply if you're not going to maximise the potential and get as many people off the roads and onto public transport as possible, which is why I tend to prefer what I've proposed here, which is starting off from a decent park and ride place just off the Stocksbridge bypass, getting on a tram, and basically following the main road right through to Sheffield. But as you can see, once we get into Sheffield, this now takes a different route and actually goes along, once it's come down High Street, it comes along Arundel Gate and along Eyre Street, servicing the whole of the Moor area and the Cultural Industries Quarter. Also servicing Bramall Lane. So it not only services Sheffield Wednesday ground, it services Bramall Lane as well. So along Bramall Lane, up Richards Road, through Gleadless, so again, you're servicing. There's a lot of investment going into Gleadless at the moment. Into the Gleadless Valley at the moment, to Gleadless Town End, and then it connects with the tram that's already there, with the tram lines that's already there at Gleadless Town End, to go all the way out to. Just pull this out. All the way out to halfway along the present track. Taking in Crystal Peaks. So really, you're going from, you can just catch one tram from Stocksbridge right out to Crystal Peaks. How fantastic is that? Change at Hillsborough if you want to go to Meadowhall. Or change at Middlewood if you want to go via Ecclesfield to Meadowhall on the Figure of Eight route. But the tram's coming down through halfway. Well, possibly carry on. This is just what you might possibly want to do if there's extra housing and development going into this area of the city region. Is run the tram possibly into Marlborough. So you've got, I think, an industrial estate here, people, jobs, etc., some housing, but also, again, because you're straight off the M1 here, decent park and ride scheme. So again, that's a possible extension to halfway. Skirting Eckington there. So really, we're going into North Derbyshire. I wouldn't prioritise this route. This will be something probably way in the distance. I think halfway, we're on the boundary of Sheffield there. It's South Yorkshire Supertram. I think you'll have to develop into other parts of South Yorkshire, because it is supposedly South Yorkshire Supertram and not just Sheffield Supertram, before you then go into a different county altogether, i.e. Derbyshire. So those are the two present routes extended but simply switched. So Stannington to Meadowhall, and instead of Middlewood, it will be Stocksbridge to halfway, with again a possible extension 5,000 years in the future. Slight exaggeration there. Out to Marlborough. So that's a couple of lines sorted there. So I'll leave that there for now at 14 minutes. Bye for now.